Internet, what is up? Okay, so this is not like the full complete version of getting a more dynamic post to post drill situation going on, but this is my thoughts as they exist currently. It says guidelines for making the post to post more active, more dynamic, and starting to transition that idea into a full throw. So the static version of the post to post drill is I don't want to pigeonhole myself too much. It is not a thing you should do dynamically because we are intentionally collapsing into a joint, which is athletically bad. That is not a thing you should do at full power because even just demoing it, the little bit that I do tweaks my glute medius and my joint capsules a little bit. So please do not do that drill with a full range of motion with any semblance of power because I think it has a pretty it does not feel good to my hips. So how do we take what's good from that and stop doing that very quickly and keep the good parts moving into a safer movement? So, the reason I exaggerate the range of motion is because I have very flexible hips, and I am trying to exaggerate the motion so that you can understand it. I think there is some benefit in you doing that to where you are hanging, collapsing into that joint. So you're stretching glute medius. Maybe you feel a little bit of a pinch in the joint capsule because you're at the end limit of your range of motion. You are hanging this side of your pelvis as low as you can from the hip socket. Then you shift and do the opposite. The power is in that shift. The name of the channel is the name of the channel for a reason. This is your basket of rocks and your trebuchet, and we need this to be able to fall freely, boom, to create hip torque. That is where the one leg drill came from. Basket of rocks, frame, pick up basket of rocks, drop basket of rocks, boom, torque is created. That's great. This drill is very hard to execute, has very low compliance for staying within the confines of the drill, which are do not bend your knee, do not turn your knee, do not do anything with your standing leg other than drift forward to keep your center of gravity over your foot contact. That's all you get to do. It's really hard for people to do. That drill is what unlocked things for me and feeling clean hip power. But it's a very challenging drill to learn the isolation of balance on your front leg. So that's why I've kind of moved a little bit more towards emphasizing this post to post thing because it's much more accessible to people and it really captures more of the magic of the disc golf throw, which the power is in the transition. The power is in the weight shift. So if I just stand here and pick up my basket of rocks and drop it, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. Yes, I can feel power there, but it's harder to access. As soon as I'm on this rear post and I collapse into the rear post and then I switch and collapse into the front, like that just works. There's hip power there because I'm hanging this basket of rocks forward and then that basket of rocks is getting pushed into structure by the quad and the weight shift. And then this basket of rocks is in free fall. It's in free fall to begin with. Boom, and it wants to go forward and the leg wants to go back if you have the structure correct. So given a lot of the power is in the weight shift, even if the weight shift is very low intensity, there's still a ton of hip torque there. I think it's way easier to find that in a post to post than in a one leg. So I've kind of moved towards showing people the post to post first, and then if we want to clean up and refine things and work on swing plane specifically in a more simplified environment, then maybe we'll work on one leg. Maybe it's just a good balance for your finishing position. But getting the post leg to a more dynamic situation and keeping your joints safe. If I collapse into this joint, which I don't want to do athletically, then I'm collapsed. I have a stretch in glute medius and maybe a pinch in the joint capsule. To get out of that, I'm going to fire my glute So this line, the angle formed by my femur and my spine, is going to increase. So that angle is going to get straighter when I fire my glute and push my hip more into line. Also known as I am standing up. So now there's more musculature engaged, mostly my glute, keeping this joint stable and supported and safe. So I'm going to take that screenshot of that hip assembly, and I'm going to come back to my post-to-post position, and I'm going to shift to the front leg, boom, and do the same thing. So I'm not exaggerating the range of motion. I'm not collapsing anymore. Boom. So my hips aren't going to move as far. My belt buckle is not going to go from 45 to 45. It's going to go from, I don't know, maybe 30. It kind of does go as far. I'm just not tipping forward as much. So it kind of does go from 45, maybe 35. Shift, engage. It's the same thing. So you can feel the same super aggressive hip snap that happens not because I am snapping my hips, but because, and I look like Teacher Man when I do that. Not because I'm doing that, but because I'm shifting from post to post, boom, and letting the basket of rocks do its thing. There I have a lot more glute engagement. I'm a lot less collapsed into the joint. I'm more here, but I can still, boom, get the same aggressive force wave to propagate down my leg and make my leg kick back that way. So this is crumple zone stuff. This is clearing a little bit. It's not very dynamic. It's here, so it's mostly clearing up. Here, this hip is low. I get here, straighten my leg as a result of a heel forward weight shift. Boom. This goes up, this comes down. Torque. That's what we're doing. So that's it. Just don't collapse into your hip, which we were doing at first as a training wheel thing to make sure we could feel the motion. Once you have that, keep your hip more supported. Then you can do the weight shift a little more aggressively. Then you can push into the front hip to stop or slow your momentum, clear the front hip up and back, let your basket of rocks swing. So I'm here, more engaged glute, boom, more engaged glute. So that's how you start transitioning it to more dynamic, and then you can add a step and do the same thing. So you're just not collapsing. You're just keeping stronger supported hips, but you still want to feel the hip torque that happens like that. Like I'm not doing anything. This basket of rocks is being thrown down and forward passively as a result of linear momentum. So I have linear momentum just in this little weight shift. I have the front hip clearing to some extent up and back, and that's allowing the momentum in the rear hip to turn into hip crumple, boom, which is where I get my power from. And that is what's going to scale with run-up speed, whereas driving off of the rear leg with the rear glute will not scale with run-up speed. It will actually decrease as you increase run-up speed because I can't push on the ground as hard as I am running away from the ground that I'm trying to push on. Okay, so there's some thoughts on how to make post-to-post a little more dynamic. Start injecting it into your throw. How are we doing on time? Under 10 minutes, internet. Okay, so if you're still here, you're probably still one of us. Probably started as one of us. Go check out the Patreon. It's so much fun working with folks on there. I feel like I'm continuing to unlock stuff about how to coach and how to communicate effectively, as well as developing drills that just work better, like this post-to-post thing. So go check it out if you're interested. All right, see you later.